Hello, friend. Welcome back to another episode of Doña's Plants with Doña. I am Doña, and in these videos, I talk to you like a normal person about the plants that I have in my home and just share with you everything that I know and have learned as far as caring for them, from their lighting needs to propagation to soils or fertilizer. I think that's most of the stuff. If you find these videos useful, helpful, entertaining, and you feel like we're a good fit, I encourage you and invite you to subscribe to my channel. Please give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment below. Today I'm going to share with you the little information that I know about a certain species of plant called Hoyas, Hoyas. I actually have 4 varieties of Hoya, but they're kind of all the same, most of them. So the first is my Hoya Kerrii, and I just watered her, realizing that she needed some light. But you can tell that she's a Hoya Kerrii by her heart-shaped leaves. The second and third are both Hoya Carnosas. One is variegated and one is not. And the fourth is a Hoya Carnosa Compacta, also known as a Hindu root plant. I actually just put these 2 babies together yesterday. So we have Hoya Carnosa Compacta, Hoya Carnosa, Variegata, I don't know, Hoya Carnosa, and Hoya Kerrii. And these are my 4 Hoya plants. So of my 4 Hoyas, my Hoya Kerrii is the only one that's in a pot without drainage holes. I treat her very much like a succulent, and I water her just when her foliage indicates that she needs water. I don't have a table to put them on today, but that's okay. So she's heavy because she's in a clay pot, and she's vining very beautifully. My friend Jessie got me her this past Christmas as just a cutting. So she grew this whole vine over the past couple months. She was just like right there. I think she still had this stem, but she hadn't grown any further. So she's very happy. I have her directly in front of this south-facing window that's right over here. I actually have all these plants right here, and right here is my my plant wall that I showed you all on my very first video. These 2 Hoyas I received also as cuttings from a friend of mine, and they have grown tremendously since I have given them more light. This Hoya Carnosa, you can see there's a stem on top that is growing even more, which is really, really awesome. I think I might start sitting and doing my videos more often because it's nice to be able to get the plants nice and all up in the camera for y'all. And this other Hoya Carnosa, she grows out of a single stem. Move this stick just so she wouldn't fall over. She grows out of a single stem, and the foliage just kind of blooms out from there. So she's very happy. And this stick is just for some support so she doesn't fall over, so I can make sure that her foliage is getting the most out of the window nearby. Of all of my Hoyas, I honestly treat them all exactly the same. As far as light, I give all of my Hoyas bright indirect sunlight. They're all between 1 and 3 feet away from a south-facing window that I keep open at all times. I have this sheet here so that when people go past when it's nighttime, they can't see into our home. But I leave this window open all the time. There's no screen or anything on it. And yeah, so lighting needs, my recommendations for all of my Hoyas are bright indirect light. The only real difference is these Hoya Carnosa Compactas, or Hindu root plants, grow very slow. So even if they're receiving adequate light, they're just very slow growing plants. The Hoyas themselves, well, these ones have actually grown quite a bit. These 2 Carnosas have grown quite a bit since they've been given adequate light. I don't believe they were getting enough light at my other home because there was sort of an overhang over the window, so it was kind of cutting down on the sunlight that was coming through. But what's that? Well, that's just a little fuzzy hair, like a lint. Since they've been getting adequate light, they've been growing well. Excuse me. Once again, lighting needs for all of my Hoyas, bright and direct light is my recommendation. When it comes to watering, I water all of my Hoyas when their soil is dry. I typically just lift them up. These two are, well, 3 are in plastic pots, so it's very easy to tell when they need water because they'll be very, very light. And I just pop them into my bottom watering pot and leave them in there for about 15 minutes. Sometimes if I leave them in there for too long, I'll squeeze out the excess water so they're not carrying too much water in their soil, because you absolutely can't overwater while bottom watering if the soil is very, very porous and holds on to every drop of water. So squeezing out the excess water will help make sure that there's not too much water in the soil, and then the plant's roots can just absorb exactly what it needs. When it comes to fertilizer, I just read, because I did have to look up the names of these Hoyas, because I don't really need their names to care for them. I looked up the names of these Hoyas and learned that apparently Hoyas are not heavy feeders. I haven't fertilized any of them. I may have given them some compost at one time, but I haven't fertilized any of them. As you all know, I have not been into fertilizer. However, I have had this fertilizer, and this is Miracle-Gro Shake and Feed all-purpose plant food. It contains kelp, worm castings, feather meal, and bone meal. It says it feeds up to 3 months. So this is a slow release fertilizer, and it comes in pellets. So I have given this to some of my plants. I fed my tomato plants with that, and it's great because it's a slow release fertilizer, but I haven't given it to many of my indoor plants. I did give it to a bird of paradise that I purchased that was a little bit in distress. It's outside on my front porch, and I noticed that because bird of paradises are heavy feeders, that's the only reason why I gave that one fertilizer. But I did notice that it seemed to pop back and start growing much more quickly. It had 2 leaves that it was working on unfurling before I purchased it from the store. And typically when I purchase a plant, if it's working on unfurling a leaf, it'll take another week or so as it adjusts to my environment before it'll unfurl that leaf. But that bird of paradise only took about 3 days before it started finishing unfurling that leaf. So it could have been the fertilizer. It may have just needed fertilizer because they are heavy feeders since their leaves are so large. Anywho, back to Hoyas. Talked about light, talked about fertilizer, we talked about water. When it comes to propagation, I do not know how to propagate Hoyas. I believe it seems as though they all grow from a main stem. So there must be some nodes in there somewhere. I received all of these as cuttings, but they were all rooted already. Well, except for these Compactas. I rooted these Compactas on my own in a plastic bag with damp sphagnum moss. So that high humidity helped them root. One of them took a little bit longer. One of them I had to put in water and sphagnum moss, and it ended up rooting. It took them a while because they are slow growers, so that was kind of to be expected. Other than that, I really don't know how to propagate these. I don't have any that are larger than this, so I'm not entirely sure. I could always look it up, but so could you. Again, Hoya Carnosa, Variegated Hoya Carnosa, Hoya Carnosa, Hoya Carnosa Compacta, and Hoya Kerrii. I do know, however, that many people will purchase a Hoya Kerrii leaf, and it'll just be this little heart leaf in soil. I have learned that those will not grow into plants. So if you get a Hoya Kerrii leaf and it's just a leaf, it will not grow into a plant. So do not purchase a Hoya Kerrii just as a leaf. Ensure that it has some sort of stem. Otherwise, don't purchase it at all because it will not grow. I did learn that. Not from experience, but just from people talking about that kind of stuff in my plant group. I believe that is, what is that? Oh, it's like a little boo-boo. Yeah, so I don't know if I can show them all at one time. I can't, I'm gonna draw something. Once again, Hoya Kerrii, which is the one with the heart-shaped leaves. Hoya Carnosa has sort of green, regular green foliage, but the leaves are a little bit wrinkly and dimply. This is a regular Hoya Carnosa, apparently. If it's not, let me know. I could be wrong. All I did was search on Google. This apparently is also a Hoya Carnosa with variegated leaves. And I know for sure this is a Hoya Carnosa Compacta, aka a Hindu rope plant. They're so interesting looking that I've definitely seen them around before. Just to recap, for all of my Hoyas, I give them bright indirect light. They are all either, they're all between 1 to 3 feet from in front of a south-facing window. When it comes to water, I water them when they're dry. I recently just learned, according to the internet, that most Hoya varieties are not heavy feeders, so feed them lightly. The shake and feed that I have that comes in pebbles is a 3-month fertilizer, so it's a slow release. So maybe just worm castings, maybe, you know, a teaspoon or so for a 4-inch pot would probably be fine for a Hoya. And I don't know how to propagate them, but if you purchase a Hoya Kerrii, or if you'd like a Hoya Kerrii, make sure that you purchase one that has a stem and that is not just a leaf in soil, because those will not grow into plants. Okay? Thanks for joining me today. That is all I have to share about Hoyas. I didn't even realize I had so many varieties until I started trying to look up the names of these two Carnosas. Yeah, I have 4 freaking Hoyas. It's pretty cool. I have a lot of pothos too, which one I keep forgetting to talk about. Anywho, if you found this video helpful, educational, entertaining, if you just enjoyed it at all, please go ahead and leave a thumbs up. Share this video with your other planty family and friends, and leave a nice comment below. I'd really appreciate it. If you'd like to contact me directly, you can find me on Instagram. My what's it called? My username or whatever it's called will be in the description. And if you feel like this channel is a good fit for you, I invite you to subscribe. Otherwise, have a great day, and I'll see you on Sunday. Bye.